Okay, so let's take a look at how you can create instance of SQL Server Express on Google Cloud, then connect that to DBGate admin tool. So let's take a look at DBGate first. This is the client that will be used to connect to cloud instance, and we will be downloading that. Now once we download that, we will be opening that, right? So let's open that. It should look like that here, right? Now here we will search for SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server, and here we will be adding the username, password, IP address, and so on. So before we go there, we'll have to create the instance in Google Cloud. So we open all products, right? You can also go from menu, products, solutions, and then all products. Then you will arrive to a page that lists all the products on Google Cloud, and you will be able to access the same. Now the next thing would be to accessing the SQL Cloud instance. Let me click databases, right? Now in databases, let's see, we have SQL, and it should have instance that shows something like this. So if I click on this, it should show me the instance I created earlier, but I want to show you how I created from scratch. So I will click on create an instance. So here we will be given option MySQL, PostgreSQL, and SQL Server. Notice the older version listed here, 2019, 2017. We are far away from these years actually, but considering these are LTS versions, they will be seen in near future. This could be 22 and most likely 25 or so, and that may appear. So you click on choose SQL Server. Now it will load a form that looks like this. Here we will be adding the details. On the right hand side, the details will reflect the summary. So we start with instance ID. We will also add password and then database version. Here you see the server has Express, Web, Standard, and Enterprise Edition. Unfortunately, we don't have Developer Edition here. So let's choose 2019 Express. Then we choose the configuration, production or development. So production is for your business, enterprise, and then small business, and so on. In case of development, you will be using this for test purpose or so. Once you have everything, you can select the configuration and move on. Now we will choose the region and zone. So let's say I select the region close to my area, something like, let's say I'm in Asia, I will select Asia, right? There is also this green icon that shows low carbon emission data center, so you can select that if you are conscious of those things. Let's choose Mumbai as our zone region and single zone as zone, right? Next thing, we will also select and customize our instance, right? So here we will be selecting machine type, where we can select the CPU and memory and choose our own instance machine type. So in that sense, we would be able to choose what we can configure and then select it for deployment. So I'll be choosing 2 CPU and 8 GB memory. Right now there is also option for multi-threading settings, but in my case that seems to be disabled due to license, considering Express does not allow that. Now let's move to storage option. Here we have only SSD support. I will switch to 20 GB of storage and we can move on for storage there. Next thing, we will choose encryption option. Here we have Google managed encryption key, so that's one thing. Next is choosing connection, right? So in case of connection, I will choose public IP so anyone can connect to the system. Now here I can add all the options from the network here. So we check 0, 0, 0, 0 and then /0, click done, and we are pretty much set. Next is authentication. In case of authentication, we have option for Active Directory and SQL login option. So I can use SQL login and use the password at the top, and also use SQL Server as username. Then comes data protection, where you can choose the backup time and slot. Here you can see there is also point in time recovery you can enable and manage. There is also deletion protection. I am going to disable this because this is test machine. Otherwise, enable that and keep it active. Then maintenance. So here your quarterly there will be maintenance releases that you can choose to deploy on specific day of the week. Then comes the order of update, where you can move on for the instances option for update. Then comes flag and parameter. First thing is your flag option, which is for default collation and time zone. You can choose from that. Then comes the label. You add the label in order to sort your SQL instance and resources. Finally, click on create instance. That should give you an option to have an instance on Google Cloud. So I already created one instance, so we will go there and check. Now here, let's go to instance. Let me click on the name of instance or instance ID. If you click on that, it should take you to dashboard like this. It shows CPU utilization. If you don't like it, you can even hide this card, and I will keep it, though it slows things down. I'm going to show you the IP address. This is what we will use to connect. You can also edit the connection, choose what to use and not to use for your connection. Here I have allowed SSL connection, also downloaded the certificate. Next is using networking, and here within tab you can see that what type of IP addresses were allowed. In summary, so all IP allowed. Now let's go to DBGate to work on our connection. So let's go here. I already created new connection, selected SQL Server, then my server IP 1433 is the default port. SQL Server is the name of user, then password. Now let's paste the password. Then let's use name like DevSQL Server. Let's test this. Considering we have SSL, still it will connect, so we will just click connect. Now it is added into connection. Here you see all the available databases. We will pick MyDB here, which has one of our table. As you can see here, I can right click and do some select query. I will select everything and run the query, which should show me some data here. As you can see, we have some data already. Now let's see, you want to work with one more table. In that case, I can right click and import some data. So use import wizard. Now here I will add some JSON file. Let's say I move to one of the CSV file. Here I can use product catalog. Now I will just run this and add one table. Right, everything runs, and I can close this and I can refresh. One more table is there. As you can see, product catalog is new table. So what we can do right now is just right click again, select everything, and now let's run this to see what it shows. It has some data that you can take a look at. So product ID, product name, vendor, stock, unit cost, sold, unsold things. Pretty small table, yet it has multiple columns. You can check them out. So what we have done so far, we created instance of SQL Server Express. we uploaded some data into it using DBGate. We established the connection between DBGate and SQL Server. So pretty much all the required task is done, and we also covered some of the small parts like allowing all IP addresses, downloading of SQL servers, CS certificate, etc., and when to use it. All that is covered as well.